At the beginning of the film, we see a couple walking through a huge and white colored room. Everything in this room was white. Actually, a doctor was having an experiment on both of them, which requires them to live inside a room for 50 days without coming out. If they do it, means they will stay here for 50 days. They'll get 40 crore dollar as a reward for this. And if any of them give up, they will go empty-handed. They won't get anything and no one except them will live in this room. Nor they could talk to anyone or meet. Along with this, they did not have any source of enjoyment like TV and mobiles. Now they are quite happy in this room because they think it is the easiest way of earning money. Both of them began to talk to each other. Here, the girl from the couple named Kate says, I'll fulfill all my dreams with this money, 40 crore dollar. Meanwhile, her husband says that I'll consume this money at parties. I'll enjoy a lot and we'll have so much money. There will be no shortage of money. There will be no issues. I'll be so happy. After a while, they hear a sound of the robotic device. That begins to tell them the rules of this place and how they have to live here. What they have to keep in mind and what should be done was also written. There was only one bed, a bench and an ordinary washroom. Along with this, a small screen was also placed on the wall in which all the rules for living in this room were mentioned. That includes that only one person could use the washroom at once. There is also a red button on the wall. If anyone wants to go out, they can press this red button and go out. Along with this, they could order food by pressing the screen. Also, a big watch was placed here too, in which their 50 days timer was running. A big size box also come for them there. This is their daily waste edible items. At the night, light turns off automatically. They turn on automatically in the morning. The device keeps telling them the present time by announcing it is going to be morning time, night or evening. The purpose is that you must rest because it is going to be night. They were finally given a facility that they can also set an alarm. Kate's husband Mike lives there in a way as its holidays were going on. For this reason, he used to sleep late at night, whereas Kate settles the alarm so that she could wake up early morning, she could follow her routine, and so that time. Now they had spent their first night in this room. When it becomes morning, Kate goes to take bath. She tells herself in front of the mirror that whatever happens, I have to win this challenge. I have to stay here for 50 days. After taking bath, she puts her dress in the laundry to wash. They are also giving a simple dress to wear but were colorful. While having fun, they said, thank God, at least we got colorful dresses. After some time, Kate tells Mike why the doctor wants this experiment. Mike tells her, I don't know anything about this. I know that we have been told here to stay 50 days and we'll get a reward of 40 crores dollars. Both of them try to engage them to spend their time. Kate practices yoga to help her become calm and relaxed, whereas Mike was staring at the watch on which the timer for 50 days were running. He begins to think about the strange things while sitting there, like why the walls of this room are painted white. Kate tries to make him understand not to think about this at all, not to stare the watch. Just think about the time to spend here and the money in reward. But it was too difficult for him to do because he was not sleeping nicely, whereas Kate performs all her tasks according to routine from day to night and asks Mike for running to divert his attention from the watch. On one side, Kate was having yoga while Mike was running. Later, they began to play childish game to spend time and began to dance and put their clothes in the laundry to wash. They again got similar dresses to wear. Now many weeks passed in this way. After a few days, Mike finds an insect in this room. He begins to talk to it and thinks to feed it. Then he puts a few drops of milkshake on the floor. The sound of the robotic device begins to hear and says not to do this. The food is just for both of you. Mike becomes worried and tells the device that if we don't feed it food, take my word, this poor insect will die and I will press the red button and I will move out because this insect will die of hunger. See this, Kate begins to convince him, look, the robotic device will not come again to stop us. It has gone after stopping us, so don't do this. He says, whatever it is, I am concerned about this insect. Otherwise, this poor insect will die here. Saying this, he begins to go to the red button. They began to argue. Kate says, after pressing the button, we lose this challenge. Then we'll be sent out of this place with nothing. Mike says, I don't know, but I am not going outside. I'm just sending this insect out. Mike says later after putting that insect aside. Kate adds, this is an insect. Do not feel pity for it? You are gone crazy. After saying this, she begins to go, but suddenly it comes under her feet and dies. She is shocked and apologizes to Mike after realizing what has happened. She didn't do it intentionally, it happened accidentally. Mike doesn't believe her and spends her entire day in this house sitting in the corner. According to the rule of this room, right now they are only permitted to buy two things. Those will come from outside and the money will be charged from their money. This is a huge sum of money. Mike tells her, I'm going to order my first thing. Kate, however, forbids him and says, you'll recall how much of our money will be consumed if you order anything from outside? $1 lakh, so please don't do this. But despite this, Mike doesn't listen to her and goes to buy his first thing. He gets a green colored chalk and after pressing it, Mike says, oh, what I have received, nothing is going to happen with this, but at least I could paint on the wall and pass time. Kate notices him drawing and asks him to make a painting for her. He begins to paint and after a while, Kate leaves because she is bored. But he continues to sketch until the chalk runs out. He makes many drawings in the bathroom, on the walls, outside, outdoors in this manner. Later, Kate apologizes to Mike for her behavior and after approaching him. Good news for them is that they have spent many days and only 20 days are remaining. One day, Kate discovers a gun in the bathroom. Both of them become astonished to see how it got there. They hold it and hid it under the bed. According to the device, there should be nothing in the laundry except the dresses. After some days, they are given a small gift that shows their family video messages. Mike sees his sister message that tells him, she and her mom and dad are totally fine, so don't worry about them. After seeing his sister, Mike becomes happy. But Kate feels quite upset when she is shown her father's video message. Her father says, I don't live on road, I live in a house. Kate tries to stop the video, but it cannot be stopped despite her request. Later, after going near the washroom, she begins to cry loudly. Later, Mike arrives and soothes her, and they both fall asleep. As it becomes morning, Kate doesn't leave the bed. She is still sleeping because her health became worse because of tension. But Mike asks the reason for not waking up. She tells that I am emotional because I have seen my dad after many years. I always spoke lie that I don't have a father because I'm ashamed of him. He drinks a lot and don't pay my school fee. Later, Mike tells her to leave all this and do you know we have only 2 weeks left here. After listening to his statement, Kate doesn't become happy and was still in bed. He tries many ways to make her feel better, but it was all useless. Later, he lies down, but Kate doesn't bother with this. The next day, he tells Kate, why don't we buy our last thing to end up the boredom? But Kate stops him by saying, no, you have already spoiled the money by buying that useless chalk. No, don't do this because I don't want to lose more money now. After hearing this, he becomes sad. After some time, Kate comes to Mike after leaving her bed and says, you are allowed to order the other item as well, no matter how much money we lose. Mike orders the other thing when he touches the screen later. Immediately, the door of another room opens. After that, a girl enters inside who hasn't wore a dress. As she comes inside, Mike becomes shocked to see her. She tells him that I don't know, but I have been sent in here. I have received money for this. But I must stay in this room for you for 24 hours. After seeing her in this way, Kate requests Mike to remove his shirt and give it to her so that she can cover herself a little. When the girl sees Mike's drawings on the wall, she appreciates them. After seeing this, Kate becomes angry. At night, Mike asks both the girls to sleep on the bed and he sleeps on the floor. But the girl begins to behave strangely with Mike. Kate becomes angry as a result. She makes Mike sleep with her on the bed. And she sleeps between them and she couldn't make herself calm for the whole night and was irritated by her. When she woke up, she sees the girl wasn't on the bed. She thinks that she has gone, but she goes to the washroom. She sees the girl hasn't gone but is still in the washroom. She was taking bath and has put off her clothes. She says Kate was bearing her unwillingly. Later, 3 of them began to dance in the room. After doing this, Mike enjoys a lot and goes into the world of dreams. and he sees black color around his four sides. After this, he sees himself drowning in the water. He sees his younger brother as well, who was drowning in the water with him. After seeing this, he becomes quite upset. Meanwhile, Kate and the girl approach him and bring him back to his senses. He was still upset and begins to cry. He was constantly saying to save his younger brother from drowning. Later, Kate calms him down and makes him sleep on the bed. Later, the girl asks Kate about how she and Mike met. Kate tells her that I and Mike met in the rain. I don't have an umbrella and Mike saved me from being wet. Now they kept on talking while sitting in this way. After a while, Mike wakes up and sits with the girl. Kate was not present there and they began to talk about their lives. The girl tells him, I lost my mother in childhood. Later, after sharing their family problems, they support each other. They develop a good bond of friendship. Later, the girl, after holding Mike's hand, asks him to swing his mood and make himself calm. In the meanwhile, Kate arrives from behind and notices both of them holding each other's hands. Seeing it, she got angry because she was bearing their closeness for a long time. She tells the girl that you wanted to trap my husband from the start and wanted to be friends. Hearing this, the girl begins saying that you're a strange girl, you don't trust your husband at all. Alas, and their argument increases and they begin to yell at each other. After being fed up, Mike yells at them and asks them to keep quiet, and then he begins to go from there. The next day when they woke up, Mike wasn't feeling well. His health wasn't going well and the girl had also gone. Before going, she has written a message for Mike. It was written, no one has ever loved me as you did, Mike. Kate got angry with Mike after showing this message to him. She says, you are a deceiver and deceiving me as well. Hearing this, Mike says that there is nothing like this. Whatever she has written is wrong. Whatever is going on in this room is intentional so that we could fight. We could give up this deal, but Kate doesn't listen up. She pushes him. As a result of this, Mike hits the wall. His head begins to bleed and he becomes angry to see it. He goes away from Kate and says, I didn't deceive you. Even when you went after leaving this city, I always wanted you to not feel alone and stay happy. Because of this, I left my friends. Because of this, I left my studies. I gave you my whole time. I didn't leave you when you live in tension. What reward did I receive in return? That you are telling I am deceiving you? Kate says, please forgive me. I did not do this intentionally. I did this in anger. Meanwhile, Mike feels something. He falls down and says, I don't feel well and I need a doctor. She brings milkshake for him and wraps a towel around his head so his head doesn't bleed, and she says everything is provided in this room except medical facility. Isn't it strange? Mike doesn't believe her words after hearing this. He says, do you really feel concerned about my injury? What happens if you hit me hard in anger and I die? You have become greedy enough that you can kill me. Such a money goes to hell if it changes the identity of a person. I hate this room. I will not stay here even for a while. I'll go out, and she stops him from going out. She takes the gun that they found from the washroom. She warns Mike while pointing her gun at him. If you try to go out, I'll shoot you. Mike presses the red button after ignoring her. Later, the door opens and he goes out of the white room. After his departure, Kate feels lonely and begins to cry. After she sleeps there and she wakes up and she doesn't feel good. She feels quite sad and begins to miss him after seeing his drawings. Now only 2 days were left for Kate in this room, and she could win this challenge. She also realizes her mistakes, so she also goes out after pressing the red button. After some time, we see Mike, who was running. And while running, he passes through Kate's building. He suddenly comes up with Kate on his way. Later, we learn that after coming out of the room, they didn't meet for months because they were angry. Now, after moving on, they decided to patch up and began to go to a hotel for a meal. On the way, Mike asks Kate, have you completed that challenge? Or you have come out after pressing the red button? She didn't respond and stays silent. She says that I misbehaved with you, so please forgive me. Later, when both of them went, they see a note on the building. It was written, a famous man has made this room, but his identity remains unknown. According to it, we can say that one shouldn't be greedy because greed leads to evil, in which we tend to lose our loved ones. As Mike and Kate lost each other for a while, the man could have an intention to make this room so that human becomes better by luring them, because the human will spend time there, the inner qualities of them will reveal. When their greed ends up, they realize their mistake. They learn from it and will never be greedy again. Later, we see a couple in the same room. They came like Kate and Mike to fulfill this challenge. They were quite happy, as Kate and Mike were happy. Now the question is whether they'll fulfill this challenge or they will return empty handed like this after giving up, or they will also realize their mistake. The film ends with this question.